Hello everybody. I am trying different things to try to get the glare off of this. I may have to switch to not having the projector on and doing it and writing the problems by hand, but that kind of slows things down. But anyway, we'll try some different things and see what I come up with. Today, as the intro video talked about, focus on what you know how to do, which is solving equations, okay? We're going to solve inequalities today, which are slightly different, but you solve them just like equations, and I have a little poster down here. Inequalities, you solve them just like equations with one big exception. We're going to talk about the exception in a second. I want us to talk about what is an inequality. Instead of having an equal sign, it's going to have an inequality symbol, either a less than or a greater than, less than or equal to, or a greater than or equal to. And of course, 3 is less than 8. If you remember, you always do it so that the big mouth is eating the bigger number, right? So I'm eating the 8. It's open toward the 8. The small pointed end is toward the 3, which is the smaller number. Okay, so you got to know which way to turn the symbol between the two. When you're graphing these things, because one of these is going to be an x, so x's are greater than 2, meaning I want all the numbers that are bigger than 2. Okay, there's a whole bunch of numbers that are bigger than 2, right? So if you look on a number line and find the number 2, my x's are being eaten, so they're bigger. Which way do numbers get bigger on a number line? There's my number line up there. They get bigger to the right. They get smaller to the left. So remember, the further you go to the left, you're smaller. The further you go to the right, you're bigger. So if I want all the numbers bigger than the 2, I want the ones to the right. So I'm going to shade this direction to show that 3, 4, 5, 6.5, 7.23, 1,000, 2,368,000, all those numbers to the right can all be my x's. It's not just a single number that can solve it. There's a whole bunch of numbers that can solve it, okay? So x's could be, in this case, anything bigger than 2. Notice it doesn't say that it's equal to 2. Since it's not equal to 2, they did not make this solid. They left it as an open circle to let you know that 2 is not part of the solution set. It's just numbers to the right. Now, if they put a line underneath it, in this case, it's -1 is greater than or equal to x. My x's are on the small pointed end. The -1 is bigger because it's on the big side. See how the -1's being eaten? So the x is on the pointed end, meaning my x's are smaller than this number. So if you find this number on the number line, my x's are smaller. And which way is smaller? Left. So that's why they shaded this one to the left. Notice this circle is filled in because x is also equal to -1. So x can not only be these numbers this way, but it can be -1. So they shaded it in. Okay? So open circle means you do not have a line underneath the inequality symbols. If they close it in, that means there is a line underneath the inequality symbols. All right, so that's kind of the nutshell of the review on inequalities. And now we're going to go do some solving inequalities. Let's go. We're ready. Woo, I just love doing this. I'm so happy every day I'm doing this. And yes, I've done video after video today, and I'm just like, I feel so good. All right, so you're going to draw the line through the equal sign, or where the equal sign would be, which would be the inequality symbol. It splits my inequality into my two halves. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other side. Circle the variable. It's right there. Look to see, can I simplify anything? On the right-hand side, nope, just a single number, nothing to simplify. On the left, I have an n minus 4. They are not like terms, so I am not going to simplify anything over there. So, step 3, done. Move on to getting the variable by itself. So the n is over here. The only thing I have to get rid of is subtract 4. What is the inverse of subtraction? Y'all know this so well by now. We're going to add 4. So this is the part we said focus on. You know how to solve this. Don't let that silly symbol freak you out. So add 4 to one side. If I do it on one side, I must do it to the other side. See, y'all know all this. You know all the answers before I even say them. What happens to the -4 and +4? Yep, they canceled out. They're gone. It's like adding 0 to n, so that means it's still n. Now, the thing you're going to do when I hear is you're going to just automatically write an equal sign. I do it all the time when I'm doing this, and I go, oh yeah, it's not an equal sign anymore. It's this symbol, so it's less than or equal to, right? And then -10 plus 4. Good guys and bad guys, who's going to win? Bad guys, there's more of them. 4 of my good guys killed 4 of my bad guys, so I'm left with 6 bad guys. Now, here comes the exception part. So this is the answer. N's can be any number less than or equal to -6. Okay? So sometimes they're going to ask you to graph them, and sometimes they'll give you some graphs to choose from. So let's see how this is doing. The -6 is bigger because it's eating the -6. That means my n is on the small end, so my n's are smaller than -6. So just go look on the number line and find this number. And that number is right here, and I'm going to do an open circle around it, and then decide, should I fill it in or not? Is it equal to negative 6? Yes, there's a line underneath it. N is also equal to negative 6. So should I fill it in? Yes. If you look at your poster over here, tripping over the chairs. Good thing I didn't fall. When there's a line underneath the sign, then it's going to be filled in because it's equal to it. So I would fill the circle in. And then you just got to decide which way do I shade. Will the numbers make it true to the left or make it true to the right? Are my ends bigger or smaller? They're on the small end, so they're smaller. Which way is smaller? Yep, left is smaller. So you would shade this direction and then make a big old arrow on it to show that they keep going that way forever and ever. It never stops. All these numbers to the left can work for X in that inequality and make it true. Okay? See, that wasn't so bad. Now, the big exception I was telling you about. You saw these, like I said, just exactly the same, but instead of having a single number, it's a whole bunch of numbers that can do it. Here's your exception. On a step, if you multiply or divide both sides, on the step where I'm adding to both sides or dividing by both sides or multiplying both sides, when I do that step, if I am multiplying or dividing by a negative number, what I wind up doing is flipping the inequality from whatever direction it was to the other direction. Okay? When we did that little preview video of this, they showed you, the 8 and the 5, I think, and how that symbol stayed the same other than on the step when you multiplied by a negative number on both sides. Remember, you had to flip the inequality symbol? So that's the exception. And I wrote it up here. If you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, that's when you're going to flip it. Other than that one step, everything else is always the same. You just got to stop and think, do I need to flip it? Do I need to flip it? Okay? This time I added 4 to both sides. Do I need to flip it? No, so it's nothing about adding. You can add and subtract all day long to both sides, and you're never, ever going to flip it. It's only, and I can multiply and divide by positive numbers, and I don't flip it. It's only when I multiply or divide both sides by a negative number on that one step I'm going to flip it. So let's go see one where we have to flip it, because I know you're curious. I want to see one being flipped. How does that work? I'm so glad you're so curious, just like I am. Number 2, here we go. Again, solving this lovely inequality. So you draw the line through where the equal sign would be, which is the inequality. Circle the lovely M. And then you say, okay, I need to get M by, simplify. I don't want to skip my simplify step. I'm going to check it. Is there anything to simplify on the right? No. Anything to simplify on the left? No. So on to solving, undoing. M is being divided by negative 10. So how do we undo division? Yes, the inverse multiplication. So I'm going to multiply this side by that same negative 10. If I do it to one side, I must do it to the other side. Did I just multiply both sides by a negative number? Yes. So when I rewrite this thing, what should I do with my symbol? Yes, you're going to flip it to the other direction. So right now, when I rewrite this thing, right now it's pointing to the left, so now I'm going to point it to the right. And I really have to think about which way to write it, because sometimes I'm looking at it and I wind up copying it the same way, and I go, I knew I wasn't supposed to do that. 10's over here. They canceled out, which is why we did it. M is left all by itself. And 16 times 10 is 160, and since 1 is positive and 1 is negative, it is a negative, make that bigger, negative 160. So now we just got to figure out how to graph it. The number I'm interested in is 160, because that's the only number in my problem, or my answer, right? So all my M's, bigger or smaller? Am I eating the M? That means my M's are bigger, right? So you immediately should be thinking my M's are bigger. I should be shaded which way for bigger? Yeah, it's going to shade to the right. If you want to, go ahead and put a big old arrow over here so you don't forget I'm shading to the right. My M's are bigger. Where's the number 160? Negative 160 right here. I put a big circle around it. Should it be an open circle or a closed circle? Is it equal to it? It's not equal to it, so don't fill it in. And we already decided that the M's were bigger, so I'm shading to the right. So all the numbers this direction, forever and ever, if I plugged them back in up here, it would make a true statement. I could plug in negative 158. I could plug in 0. I could plug in 10, 20, 50. All those numbers keep going that way. Any one of those numbers plugged into the original problem will make a true statement. Isn't that fun? I just love doing these. They're really cute because they keep me on my toes, because I got to stop and think every time. Ooh, do I need to flip it? Do I need to flip it? Don't flip it when you don't need to, because then you'll get the wrong answer, right? Okay, so I did 1 and 2 with you. I'm going to do 2 more with you, and then you can go off and do the rest of these. Just FYI, 5 and 6 do not have a graph, so you do not need to do any graphing on 5 and 6. But let's look at number 7 and 8, because these are some multiple choice ones, which are kind of like the STAR test will have. So let's go look at that. See how the graphs look. See how we can eliminate some of these. Here we go. Put that up there. Now, right off the bat, I notice this is a multiple choice question. And I see some of these have open circles and some have closed circles. So if you will just simply look at the original equation, does that inequality symbol have a line underneath it? It does not. So if there's no line underneath it, is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle in my answer? Because the line's not suddenly going to appear in the middle of my problem. It stays just the same type of symbol. So if I look over here, open circle, no line. So my answer is going to be an open circle. So sometimes you can rule off some of the answer choices before you even do any math. I would get rid of B and I would get rid of C because they have closed circles. There is no line underneath that inequality problem. Cannot be those answers. So now I got a 50-50 shot at guessing even if I didn't want to do any math that day. Not that we're going to guess because we're pre-advanced algebra and we like to do this stuff and we can always get the answer. I'm like so happy today. I've done so many of these videos. I'm just like hyped. Okay, so here we go. Draw the line through the inequality symbol. Circle the lovely X. I'm checking simplifying. Can I simplify anything on the right? Nope. Can I simplify anything on the left? Nope. No parentheses, no like terms to combine. So let's just undo. So I have a 12 and a -5 to get rid of. One is division and one is subtraction. Which one do we do first? Think backwards. Yep, you're right. We're going to undo the 5 first. So how do you undo subtracting 5? Inverse operation, add 5. If I do it to one side, I must do it to the other side. See, the process is the same that we've been doing all along. What happened to your -5 and +5? Yep, you're right, they cancel out. Bring down the x over 12. Remember, you can always pause and catch up on your paper if you want to, or just watch it all the way through and then go do it yourself on your paper. Oh, do I need to flip the symbol? I added something to both sides. Do I need to flip it? Nope, do not need to flip it. Did not do multiplication or division by a negative number, so I'm okay. I'll leave the symbol just like it is. Bad guys and good guys, who's going to win? Good guys are going to win. Who's left alive? One of them. Now, is x by itself? Nope, still got to get rid of this divide by 12. What's the inverse of division? Yep, we're going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 12. And I'm thinking, ooh, this is one of those, I've got to stop each time. Do I need to flip it or not? I'm multiplying both sides by a positive 12. Do I need to flip it? Nope, you don't. You can multiply by positive numbers and don't have to flip it. It's only when I multiply by a negative number or divide by a negative number. So 12's cancel out, which is why we did it. That symbol stays the same, and 1 times 12 is 12. So x's are all greater than 12. And notice that it's the big side of that symbol, right? So are my x's bigger or smaller? They're bigger. So if they're bigger, which way should my x's be shaded? Yes, they're going to the right. So let's look down here and see which one of these. That one looks like shaded to the right. And did they put the 12 there? Yep, 12 is there. It's shaded to the right. Bingo, it's that one right there, A. See how fun these are? I just love to do these. Okay, so we're going to do one more together, and then I will turn you guys loose. And if you feel like you know it, and you just want to go do it, and then come back and check them later, feel free. Here we go. Remember, be sure and check your answers, though. Don't just assume you're doing it right, because you never know when you're going to have some careless little mistake that you will do over and over until you realize you're doing it, and then you go, I could have had all those problems right. So you don't want to wait till test day to find these things out. You want to find out now while you're practicing so you can make 100 on your test. That's the goal. We want hundreds on those tests. Number 8, last one I'll do together with you. Here's the problem. Draw a line through the inequality symbol. Circle the P. There we go. Now, I checked for simplifying. Nothing to simplify on the left. Looked at the right, no like terms, nothing to simplify on the right-hand side, no parentheses. So I'm ready to start undoing operations. So remember, we're going to go in reverse order. This whole division thing, because there's 2 pieces on top and 1 on bottom, so I have to kind of think, if I knew what P was, would I do the division first or would I do the addition first? And normally you would do, that division line is like a grouping symbol. You would do what's on top first, and then you would take the answer and divide by 9. So the last thing I did is what I'm going to undo first. So since the last thing I would have done was division, I'm going to undo the division first. So instead of dividing by 9, I multiply by 9, right? If I do it to one side, I do it to the other side. I'm going to put a little 9 up there. I know that 8 with parentheses kind of looks confusing with that, but it's just the problem number. The 9s are going to cancel out, which is why we did it. So I'm going to bring down the P plus 8 on the right-hand side. And then 1 times 9 is 9. Now, when I get ready to rewrite this, do I need to flip it? I multiplied by 9 on both sides, but it was a positive 9, so you're right, I do not need to flip it. It's going to stay the exact same direction. Oh, I forgot to do this at the beginning. It's got a line underneath it. Should it have a closed circle or an open circle? It's equal to it, so it would be filled in, right? But look, all four answers have been filled in. You can't rule any of them off on that. Most of the times they give you a couple that you can rule off. How do you undo adding 8? Yep, subtract 8. You do it to one side, do it to the other side. If I'm subtracting on both sides, do I need to flip the symbol? Nope, we can subtract and add all day long to both sides. Don't flip the symbol. It's only when you multiply or divide by a negative number, that's when you're going to flip it. Okay, so the 8's go away, P comes down, the symbol stays just the same way, and 9 minus 8 is 1. So in my little picture, it needs to have a 1 as the number. That's at 1, that's not at 1, this has got a 19 in it, that one's got a 7 in it. So these two have 1s in them, right? Now, is the P on the small pointed end or is it on the big end? It's on the big end, so the P's are all bigger than this number. So if P's are bigger, which way is it shaded? Yep, bigger is shaded to the right. So is this one shaded to the right? I'm thinking not. Is that one shaded to the right? Bingo, C. So be very careful. You can get the right answer and still accidentally get in a hurry and mark the wrong answer just because they're very so similar looking if you're not taking your time. So take your time when you get ready to mark your answers. So go do your work. I hope everybody is doing well and having fun. I wish I had you in class so I could see you, but email me sometime. Let me know what you're doing, what life's up and about, what you're doing for fun, because I'd like to get to know you. I know you're probably several days into this by now, and I'm like, I don't know you guys, and I wish I did. So anyway, y'all have fun. Take care.